I think one of the most obnoxious things that I hear doing gaming news and fanboy salt videos is the whole Xbox is PC thing. You know, the Xbox diehards who try to act like that because Microsoft owns Windows and also owns Xbox, and because there's integration between Windows and Xbox, that somehow means the two things are inherently connected or reliant on one another, which is just not true for a laundry list of reasons that I don't have time or interest to dissect in this video. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because the other day, some rumors started floating around after Phil Spencer made some cryptic and rather interesting comments about how he wants to expand the Xbox ecosystem. The Xbox has already started accommodating the PC by porting first-party games and having a PC-specific version of Game Pass, and Microsoft, God bless them, have been putting a lot of effort into making the Xbox PC launcher actually pretty good over the years. Like, there's still a lot of work to be done, but the Xbox launcher and overlay are honestly pretty good now. They're still nowhere near as fluid as Steam, but they're certainly better than any of the other big name PC launchers like Battle.net or Epic. But while the Xbox has seen some pretty solid integration with Windows over the years, it seems Phil Spencer now wants to do the reverse of integrating Xbox with Windows and bring PC storefronts to the Xbox, allegedly. So I'll catch you up to speed on what was actually said, because I think the internet kind of went wild with this stuff, and quite a few people I've seen on Twitter and other social media sites have seemingly lost sight of what Phil Spencer actually said with his little mouth versus what people interpreted what he said as. And in a way, I don't blame you if that describes you. I mean, my introduction to this news was a tweet that said the Epic Game Store might be coming to Xbox instead of the Epic Game Store being thrown into the pits of hell where it belongs, and I admit that I just kind of tuned out for a couple days after that. But let's just get everyone in sync with where things actually stand. So this all started when Phil Spencer was doing an interview with Polygon at GDC. Why a complete hack website like Polygon has access to Phil Spencer at GDC is a question that no one has the answer to, but Polygon asked Phil if he could see a future where PC storefronts like the Epic Game Store were available on the Xbox, and Phil said yes, and he elaborated by saying, quote, "Nobody would blink twice if I said, hey, when you're using a PC, you get to decide what type of experience you have by picking where to buy games. There's real value in that." That is all the news. This quote was blown up into Xbox working with third-party PC storefronts and launchers to get them up and running on the consoles, all of which came to a head when journalist Kareem Jovian tweeted out breaking Xbox Steam rumor alert, and said that Xbox has been working behind the scenes with Valve to get Steam on the Xbox, and he even showed a Zoom chat that allegedly happened between Phil Spencer and Gabe Newell and other big gaming executives until it was exposed that this Zoom chat screenshot was multiple years old and had nothing to do with the topic at hand. So yeah, this report is completely fucking fake. Thank you, games journalism. You guys are so good at your job. So the basic gist of what happened here was that Phil Spencer was asked a very leading question by Polygon at GDC, and it got blown up into something that it was never supposed to. And while I think it would be very interesting to have third-party storefronts on the Xbox, I think that people pushing that idea as actual, like a near future possibility, have a gross misunderstanding of how these things actually work and what was actually said. Yeah, sorry to burst your bubble, but basically all of the news about Steam and EGS coming to Xbox are based on literally nothing of substance, which is why I didn't make a video on it right away, for those asking. Because I'm honestly surprised that this became such a headline with how little was actually said. I didn't think this was going to stay in the news cycle for more than like 10 minutes. And look, I think having third-party storefronts on the Xbox is actually a great idea, because that's one step closer to just turning the Xbox into a tiny PC, and it's one step closer to making sure that gamers of the future never have to deal with the rubbish of the console marketplace. But this isn't something that would be easy to implement, and it's also not something that I think people realize would take a giant bite out of Microsoft's gaming revenue for basically no reason, so I really don't think they're going to follow through with this, at least not in the way that people seem to be interpreting what Phil's words were. When you buy a game on the Xbox Digital Store, Microsoft gets a cut of that, the same way that when you buy a game on EGS or Steam, either Epic or Valve will get a cut of the sale. Adding multiple storefronts to the Xbox console would seemingly just further slice up that revenue, because if you buy a game through Steam on the Xbox, who gets the cut? Does Steam get the cut? Does Xbox get the cut? Do they both get a cut? If Steam takes 30% of the revenue from the sale, but Xbox also takes 30% of the revenue from the sale on their storefront, what happens when you buy a game on Steam on Xbox? Is it 15-15 now? Is that something Valve would agree to? And like, those are all things that could be negotiated in business meetings, because I mean, we all know that Xbox isn't going to put a storefront on the Xbox console that they make no money from. That's delusional if you think they're going to do that. And like I just said, all of these things are things that could be negotiated in business meetings, but the problems with the idea of third-party PC storefronts on the Xbox, the issues don't stop there. From a technical standpoint, there's not much reason why Steam couldn't run on an Xbox, assuming Xbox puts some kind of Windows or DirectX integration into the Xbox console. Like if they basically turn the Xbox into a little Windows box, so that way all the Windows games on Steam could theoretically run on the Xbox in some capacity. But it's also possible Xbox would want to treat their version of Steam the way that Valve treats Steam Deck verification, like introducing a little sticker on the game's store page that says like Xbox verified or whatever, which is going to put the trust in developers to get their games up and running on Xbox's version of Steam. But if they're multi-platform games that already exist on the Xbox and they already have a native Xbox version of the game, why would they comply with this? Why would they do that? Better question, why would Xbox do that? Games on Steam are generally much cheaper than the Xbox store, so why would Xbox introduce a storefront to their console that not only has cheaper versions of the same games, but Microsoft would theoretically also be getting a smaller cut of those cheaper prices of those same games? Do you see what I mean when I say that this move, while cool in theory, doesn't actually make any sense the way that it's being presented to us? Okay, but what if Steam on Xbox and EGS on Xbox only support games that aren't on Xbox already? That would be cool, right? Yes, right? Well, a pretty huge chunk of the games that fall into that category of games on Steam or EGS, but not Xbox, a good chunk of those games either don't have controller support or are incredibly technically demanding, stuff that could never run on an Xbox console with any level of efficiency or immersion, at least not the Xbox as it is now. And in order to get those games up and running on the Xbox, either the devs would need to work on making an Xbox native version of the game, or Microsoft would need to work on putting Windows compatibility into the Xbox for the sake of supporting games that they're going to get a very small cut of revenue from on small price tags, or free-to-play games that they'll get nothing from at all. And then we have the weird case of Xbox Live, where if I boot up Counter-Strike or Dota through the Xbox version of Steam, can I play online, or do I have to pay for Xbox Live? And with how many question marks there are with all of this, would this really draw people to the Xbox, or would it push people over to the PC? And again, it's not like these things are all impossible. Frankly, I think in the grand scheme of things, I don't even think it would be that much work or take that much time from Microsoft if they were actually dead set on doing this. Like, Microsoft could totally work with Epic and Valve to make an Xbox version of their storefronts, basically just taking Steam big picture mode and making it work on the Xbox and doing the equivalent for Epic. And yeah, Microsoft totally could, for lack of better wording, throw a Windows emulator on Xbox, or throw basic Windows compatibility on Xbox, so that way PC games could at least boot on the Xbox. How well they'd run is obviously a case-by-case basis, but we're just dumbing the conversation down here a bit just to talk about the framework of what we're discussing. Because while the hardware architecture of consoles and PCs are very different, there's no technical reason why Microsoft couldn't figure this out. The hardware is there, and they own Windows. I'm sure if they were actually dead set on doing this, they could figure it out. They could figure out how to get Windows running on the Xbox in some capacity, if they really wanted to accommodate third-party storefronts. But at the end of the day, why would they do this? Phil Spencer may want this to happen because Phil Spencer is a gamer, but ultimately it's Microsoft calling the shots, and I'm just not convinced that this is going to happen for a few reasons, basically all of them coming back to money. What we're talking about here is for Xbox to more or less stop being a console and start being a very budget PC. And I don't think that's out of the question, frankly, but I don't see it happening for at least a few more years. The Xbox brand makes a lot of money, and even though the PlayStation is outselling the Xbox console pretty hard, the Xbox console still makes a lot of money off of hardware sales, off game sales for that hardware, off Game Pass for that hardware. It's like I say in a lot of other videos, just because PlayStation makes more money doesn't mean Microsoft's revenue is insignificant. If it were, they would have dropped the Xbox brand a long time ago, and they certainly wouldn't be future planning the Xbox brand like they are right now. Phil Spencer may want Xbox to become more like the PC, but the only way for that to happen and actually be profitable in ways comparable to current profits for the Xbox brand is for them to full send into this, which I just don't think they're actually willing to do. Because the way that Microsoft makes money off the Xbox right now would basically be completely invalidated by Xbox half-stepping into the PC like this, because let's be honest, that's what this would be. If Xbox was going to put third-party PC storefronts on the Xbox console as the Xbox console is right now, it would be a half step into making the Xbox kind of a stepping stone to the PC, and I'll dig more into that in a minute, but the point I'm trying to make is that putting EGS and Steam on the Xbox, but not scrapping the Xbox's store or Xbox Live, it would be a half step. It would make the Xbox kind of a hybrid between game console and gaming PC, but not in a way that would actually benefit anyone. Because while the idea of Xbox being a stepping stone between console and PC, that may sound like a good idea on paper, there's no way a multi-billion-dollar corporation like Microsoft sees it that way. Now, what I can see happening, on the other hand, is there being a new version of the Xbox coming out that basically is a budget PC. Like if there was a traditional Xbox console, but then also something new, like the PC or the Xbox PC or whatever they want to call it. Some kind of budget PC that is basically the Steam Deck, but as a console, and with the Xbox OS/Windows instead of the Steam OS. Like, think about this. Take the Steam Deck, change it from a handheld into a small PC in the shape of an Xbox. Now replace the Steam Deck's focus on Steam as the primary storefront and swap that out with the Xbox PC storefront. And now go ahead and add integration with Steam and EGS onto that and release that alongside a standard Xbox console. Call it the Xbox PC or something. Ship it with a mouse, keyboard, and Xbox controller and a trial of PC Game Pass. And boom, Microsoft gets to keep profiting off of all the Xbox avenues that they have been, but they also get to pivot in the way that Phil Spencer clearly wants to pivot by including the PC more and integrating more PC storefronts. Ultimately, I don't think there was much actual weight behind what Phil Spencer said at GDC. I think the question he was asked was very leading and meant to generate clicks, which shouldn't be surprising because it was asked by Polygon. And then Phil, being a gamer, responded the way that basically any gamer would. But I don't believe that there's any actual major development going on behind the scenes here because it just wouldn't make a whole lot of business sense for Microsoft. And ultimately, they're the ones who pay the bills and have to sign off on everything that happens. I could be wrong. I could eat my words here in a few years, but ultimately, I don't think Xbox will be welcoming any third-party storefronts on the actual Xbox console as it is now. I can definitely see increased cooperation between Xbox and Valve and Xbox and Epic and everyone else. I can definitely see Microsoft start trying to use the Xbox brand to pivot into pre-built budget gaming PCs, but if you're expecting to see EGS and Steam integrated with the Xbox consoles as you know them, I just don't see that happening. I think there are too many fundamental things about the Xbox console and the Xbox ecosystem that would have to change in order to accommodate that. That doesn't mean Steam integration and EGS integration with Xbox will never happen, but something is going to have to change before it does, be it a rework of the Xbox OS to make it more compatible with Windows, or a new generation of hardware from Microsoft that's built around Windows in order to accommodate this vision. I guess that's the TLDR. PC storefront integration is not something that can be logically worked into the Xbox hardware as it is now, but that doesn't mean it won't be worked into future Xbox hardware. Personally, I think Xbox pivoting and being more of a stepping stone from a console to PC is a good idea. Phil Spencer has said several times that the console market isn't really growing anymore, so pivoting like this, I think, is actually a great idea. If Xbox wants to increase its revenue, it needs to expand its brand. We see it expanding with third-party games on PlayStation and on the Switch. We see it expanding with improved PC support, but eventually the hardware is going to have to expand as well. So why not turn Xbox into a literal stepping stone between PC and console? Why not make Xbox the platform for people who want the benefits of playing on PC, but still want the simplicity of just buying a plastic box with the green X logo on it? I'm telling you, Microsoft should just do what Valve did with the Steam Deck, but with obvious details changed. You know, take what Valve did with the Steam Deck, replace the Steam OS with a custom Xbox branded version of Windows, make it a pre-built PC in an Xbox plastic box, and then work the integration with other storefronts into that. be that middle ground between console and PC. It's an avenue that no other gaming hardware company is really doing anything with, and it's a great way for Microsoft to find a new avenue. Because while plenty of people will probably ditch the Xbox console for the Xbox PC and then eventually upgrade to a regular PC, sure, a lot of people would go from Xbox to Xbox PC and then just stay there, instead of doing what they would do nowadays, which is go from Xbox console to non-Xbox gaming PC, and more or less just cut Xbox out of their gaming experience entirely. I could just be rambling at this point, I admit, but that's my analysis of this. Again, the TLDR here is that I don't think PC storefront integration is coming to the Xbox hardware as we know it. But once Xbox's hardware strategy inevitably changes, then we could absolutely see PC storefront integration with the Xbox. So don't hold your breath for a Steam app showing up on your Series X, but also don't rule out the possibility of Xbox doing something to try and bridge the gap between console and PC in the near future. Because really, if they want to expand the Xbox brand, where else can they go at this point? Toodles.